Hey guys, let's talk Married at First Sight, Season 20, Episode 12. So we have Adam and Marissa. Mecca asked the question, you know, what does Marissa like? Or, do you care basically about what Marissa likes? And are you willing to do the things that she likes? And he answered the question, but he kind of evaded the question. So he didn't give a clear answer to yes or no. I am open to doing an activity that Marissa likes. They discuss their issues, and he has daddy issues because he was kind of like with his piano playing or whatever, it was kind of rigid. So he's rigid in what he does. And he talks about how he stopped drinking and he became rigid about fitness. And he's basically trying to push that on her. And then we later see when they go to couples counseling, I believe with Dr. Lisa, she suffered from anxiety and depression prior, and she can feel those things creeping back up being in this relationship with Adam. She says that her anxiety is heightened in this situation. And I can see how that would be the case for her, and that may not be a good fit because it's it's if you look at it from both sides, it's not fair for him to change who he is, but it's not fair for her to change who she is either. And so they just may not be a fit because he can't be triggering her. Then we have Felipe and Tori, and Felipe showed his behind in this episode. They were talking about how they hadn't argued yet, and then Felipe flat out said at the dinner that he likes sleeping around and he keeps finding reasons why they shouldn't be married. And Tori was basically like, she's not going to convince him to be with her. And at the end, she was like saying all of this stuff. I think that she's over him. Like, because he came to that dinner, like, she was very optimistic in the episodes leading up to this one. But after his comments at the dinner, she was like, yeah, I can't do this. And I understand it because, like, he did a lot. Like, Felipe, you were tripping. Then we have Mecca and Beljolie. They were at the dinner and they were talking, and he says that he answered undecided the last time. They asked if it was decision day, would he marry, stay married. He said his answer may be changing. And then he respectfully, confronted the group about saying that he was performative, and then Belle was sticking up for him because, like I said, she's his protector, and she gonna stick up for Mecca, which I'm not necessarily saying is a bad thing because you should, if you're gonna be with somebody, why would you be with somebody that you're not ready to go to war for? Like, you know what I'm saying? So, it's not necessarily a bad thing that she is willing to speak up for her husband because that's what you should do as a spouse. If you two don't have one another's back, who else is going to have it, right? So um then we have Michelle and Cam. Cam is thinking about moving because he can see himself moving to try and make things work with Michelle because he feels like the relationship that he has with Michelle is worth it. They went to his home and he started talking about how he had a high school girlfriend that was named Michelle and how he kissed her in that bed and all of that. And he said it was a full circle moment because now he has a wife named Michelle and he kissed her. And Michelle's like, this is crazy. And he's thinking past decision day, and they're both in it, and they feel like that this could be something that could be long term and lasting, and I like that for them. Then we have Devin and Caitlin. He, stated that, during the dinner, that he doesn't feel like they're friends and that she cares about him. She's starting to slowly, he didn't want to discredit what she has been doing, and he is trying to, say that I skipped somebody. He is trying to say that, she is trying, but it's still very slow and it's not giving what he needs. And so, because it's not giving what he needs, she then feels defensive. And she said that she feels like it's being said that she is difficult to love. And, they basically have different ways of going about being in a relationship, and it's very much clashing. And then he says that they only connect when it's on camera, and then she says that that is not true. And so I wonder which it is, because two things can be true. She said there was a moment, and she only named one, that something that they did that was off camera that they really connected and was one of the best days, but he still feels like, it's only for the camera. And then let me go back to who I skipped. We have Courtney and Nick. When they were at the dinner, he was saying, all that Courtney was doing to, make their relationship better. But then when Mecca asked the question, she felt defensive, and then she threw Nick under the bus and was like, she's making all the changes, she's doing this, and this, but what is Nick doing? Nick isn't doing anything. And I'm like, whoa, whoa. I could see, like, if Nick wasn't giving her credit for the changes that she was making, and then she would say, oh, yeah, but I'm doing this, and this, but what are you doing? I could see if she said that, because that's valid. However, she turned on him for a question that Mecca asked. And so then everyone's at the table and they're like, do you even like Nick? And she's like, yeah, I like Nick. Do you? Because the the experts were watching, and they were like, she looked like she want to be anywhere here. She don't want to be here. She don't want to be here with him. That's how she looks, and that's what she gives off. And then when someone calls it out, it's like, whoa, don't do that. Let's get defensive. Like, but you do give that vibe that you don't like Nick, you don't want to like Nick. She's kissing him now, but even then, like, is something not necessarily that she wants to do, is just something that she has to do to keep moving forward in the experiment. But whatever. Then we have Nikki and Sean. Nikki and Sean were driving to their place, and Nikki was in that car slumped, like in that passenger sleep side, not knocked out. So they go to his house. His house was unclean and untidy. She said she ain't living at his house, which I wouldn't expect her to want. She owns her home anyway. They should just live with her. They did went go to her house, and he um said her house was nice, but he said she thinks she's the most bougie in the room. But I know bougier people kind of took a jab at her, but whatever. And Nikki was like, she could see them living there, and she, gave him the tour or whatever. I feel like Nikki is trying, but Sean is a hard person to try with, and I may have said this in the previous recap, but she is attempting. But I don't see this lasting past decision day, because there's a lot about Sean that's is just no bueno. But yeah, that was Married at First Sight, season 20, episode 12. I'll see y'all next week. Bye.